Triples are simply three-wave cycles joined together with a connector wave. There's 11 swings in all, and we'll label these as W, X, Y, X, Z. So basically, you're taking a double, adding another connector, and then adding another leg of the cycle to form a triple. Now, doubles are the most common pattern that we're going to see in the market, but we do see quite a fair share of triples as well. So let's go ahead and look at the charts. This is an example of a triple on the Australian dollar 4-hour chart, and this is a current chart. So what we see here right now, you have the initial. I'm just going to go ahead and go through this and look at the measurements and label it. We have our initial, what we're going to label as our W, our initial three-wave cycle here. We're going to label that as W. You see it moved to equal legs 127. So I'm going to just remove this, and I'm going to put the labels on here. We're going to label this as a W wave. We didn't see any divergence here. We're going to label this as an X. Now let's take a look at the next cycle. Sorry about that. Now this cycle could be a little bit more tricky to look at here, especially when we're looking at it right now, because you can see the three-wave move right here, and then the pullback, and then the move to equal legs. This is actually a double within itself. Okay, so this is the three-wave cycle here. When you measure this from the high to the low, you can see this equal legs move right here before the pullback. Okay, so the labels on this inner cycle will be a smaller degree W, smaller degree X, and then moving into the rest of that double. So now let's put the measurement on the entire cycle here. From this high, this pullback, we can see this extended. We also did not have divergence there. Okay, we have an extended move that did not diverge. Let's go ahead and measure the entire W, X, equal legs 127. Okay, so we measure this larger three-wave cycle, X-wave pullback. This cycle ended right here at the 127. The inner cycle extended, and we don't have divergence. So that gives us a probability that we're going to move into a triple. So let me just go ahead and clear off these lines so we don't get confused. Just too many lines on the chart. We're now going to label this as a Y wave. This is another X wave pullback. Okay, so we're looking at another connector wave. Now we're looking at the triple, which is our final leg of this three-wave cycle. Now, this particular leg of the triple did move to equal legs 127. A lot of times you'll see with the triples is they'll fall a little bit short. Triples can fall a little bit short before turning. The other thing you'll notice, at the end of the triple, what do we see? We have divergence. Price moving higher, MACD cycling lower, leading into a large decline. So now we know the probability is that we're correcting this entire cycle. So if I pull the fibs on this, it gives us a good level, or some good levels to watch for potential targets on this correction. Now we already know that one of the things we look for in a divergence is we look to isolate the low point between the points that diverged, or the high point, depending on which direction we're looking at the divergence. So we already know we have a solid target level right there around 78. And we have the 62% around 77.70. Okay, so this is a triple from this degree. Obviously, it would depend on the higher degree time frame where we're at in that cycle of what we would put here. Okay, of how we would label this. For this cycle, this would be a Z wave. Okay, so we would put, a Z wave here. That ends the triple, but this could make up a larger degree, and I'll just for example here, we'll put up a cycle wave right here, and I'll just say maybe a larger degree W. Okay, so in that scenario, then that would make this a larger degree X. And we would know what we were looking for out of the next cycle. Okay, so you see the similarities. You see the similarities to Elliott wave, obviously. But I think we're showing you with our cycles, with our measurements, and the way you're seeing these things, it's a lot simpler to look for. It's a lot easier to understand. There's more flexibility. And we do understand that outside influences can affect these patterns. Okay, whereas with Elliott wave, they'll tell you that the news doesn't matter. You don't even have to watch the news. We don't care about the news. The patterns are going to play out no matter what. Okay, the difference is we understand that anything can happen. We're looking for high probability setups, but we're flexible enough to understand when something's changed. At the same time, we see these same patterns and mathematical precisions enough in the market to where it can give us that high probability. Okay, so more of this to come. More of this to come. But that's a triple. And that's how we would label a triple. As a W, X, Y, X, Z. And that would make up a larger degree cycle. But I think you can see throughout the market in here, you can see throughout the market when you have these three-wave cycles, then an X wave and then an extension. These extensions, and we'll talk about the extension setups later on, but that's something we look for. We look for all the time at every degree. These extensions, using these Fibonacci and these mathematics and looking at these, this would probably be called an impulsive wave in Elliott, and the idea is still the same. Okay, but when we see these impulsive, stronger moves, that gives us a probability of a continuation. Okay, we're just labeling them a little bit differently. We're trying to make it a little bit simpler to be able to profit from.